What's going on, guys? Balkan Architect here, and today I'm going to be talking about my favorite architect yet again, and that's Bjarke Ingels, or Big. So this is one of my favorite architectural bureaus. They have some of the best projects, or I think their presentation is really good. So that's why I think they're the best, because they really do know how to present their projects. And I really like their buildings, and also I like recreating them in Revit. I actually have numerous tutorials where I model famous big architects' buildings, and this tutorial is going to be something like that. So I really like this Hualien residence, something like that. I'm not really sure about the name, how to pronounce it correctly, but the whole idea is it's this cool little complex that has these green roofs, and they kind of cover the whole building. It looks really cool, so I thought, why not explore how to do something like that in Revit, and why not film a tutorial? So that's what we have today. Now, before we get into that, we'd just like to ask you to like this video. It helps me out a lot with YouTube algorithm, and also make sure to subscribe. I make useful Revit tutorials each week. I make multiple tutorials, and also I make some courses. So if you want to take the time to learn about all of the advanced Revit tools and about the whole workflow in Revit and complete projects in Revit, check out my courses on my website, balkanarchitect.com. It's going to be the first link in the description. Also, if you follow the second link in the description, it will take you to my Patreon, and there you can find all of my Revit project files. Okay, so without any further ado, let's get straight into Revit.
Okay, so here, as you can see, I have an image, or actually a couple of images that I'm going to be using for just as reference for this demonstration, and we're going to be trying to take some dimensions from this, just from proportions, in order to figure out the dimensions of the building. Okay, so now let's go here into Revit, and I'm just going to go to Models, go to New, and then we're just going to go with the architectural template for this demonstration. Now, as soon as Revit starts up, the first thing that I like to do is set up the units. Now, you can do that here on the Manage tab. You go to the Project Units, and for these types of projects, I prefer working in meters for my length dimensions, and also I'm going to add a couple of decimal places just for that extra precision. Let's click OK, and now the next step that I would like to do is to set up some grid lines. So we know from the images that we have that we have here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 segments. Now we're going to be treating these segments as 4-meter thick strips. So let's go to the Architecture tab and then go to the Datum panel, and here we have the Grid Line tool. So we're going to place one grid line just like that. So just one grid line, place it here, and that's grid number 1. Now you can select it, and then you can either go here to use new grids, or what I like to do is to select it, go right click, and then go to create similar, or just use the CS shortcut as I would usually do. Then go to the pick lines, and let's give it an offset of 4 meters. So we want to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5 strips. Now let's go back to lines, and let's get rid of that offset. So let's go to 0 and create one vertical line just like this. Okay, so once we have that one, let's rename it. So you can just click here in the bubble, or you can select it and go to the Properties panel and call this one A. Okay, so once we have that, let's move down to the south elevation, which is here. So just double click on that little link. Maybe extend this. There we go. Okay, so now maybe make this a bit higher. So for the height of this whole building, just judging from this image, it looks like it's around 3 levels. So as you can see here, we have one level here, another level here. So it's like 3 levels plus a little bit more for the roof. So let's say that all of the levels are 3 meters plus that little more. So let's call it a total of 10 meters or 3 levels. So I'm going to go back here into the south elevation, go to levels, so they're over here next to grids, and then I'm going to use the pick lines tool with the offset of 3 meters, and then let's add just a couple of more of these levels. Now this one, the level number 2, should be at 3 meters. There we go. This one should be at 6, and then this one can stay at 10. Now let's just figure out where the second part of the building is. So this is where the beginning of the building will be, and then judging from the image, I'm just going to try to kind of eyeball the angle. So for that, let's go to the Annotate tab and use a detail line, just going like this, and let's say this is the appropriate angle. Let's just create a vertical line. Let's see, that's 33. Let's round it off at 35 meters, just like that, and maybe extend these levels a bit. Okay, so once we have this, this is kind of going to be the end of the building, and then we have, in between, we have 1, 2, 3 points. And I also want to create grid lines for these because they seem to be at an equal distance from each other, so it's kind of an interval. So what I'm going to do is select this here grid line, go to copy, make sure to click on multiple, and then copy it 3 times in the middle, and then one final one here. Let's actually just align it just like that, and let's get rid of that just annotation line and this thing as well. Okay, so now as you can see, the distances between these aren't equal, so what I'm going to do is just go here to the Annotate tab, to the Aligned Dimension, and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, click, and then hit EQ, which is going to make the distances equal, and now we have something to work with. Hit the Escape key a couple of times, and now we can start creating our actual building. So modeling this is going to be done using the Roof tool. So if you go here to the Architecture tab, I'm going to go to the Roof tool, open up the drop menu, and the best option for this is Roof by Extrusion. Now, when you click on that button here, you have to specify the work plane on which we're going to be creating this extrusion. Now, I suggest you go by name and then pick the grid number 1, so that's the closest to us. Click OK, and then this is going to be the level which is going to be as a reference level for our roof, and for that I usually go with the highest one, which is level 4. Click OK, and now we can kind of sketch out the roof. So it's really simple. The first one just goes like this, and we're done. Hit the Escape key, hit Finish, and we have our roof. Now for the roof type, I'm going with the 400 millimeter type. That's quite all right. Okay, so once we have that, let's move to level 1 just to see what it looks like. And as you can see, it's way too long. So I'm going to move it back in here, just to the second level, select it, go to copy, and then copy it from one level to the other. Now select this and go into Edit Profile. Now let's choose one of the elevations. I'm going to go with the south elevation, and now we have to change the second one. Now, judging just from the image, the second one is quite similar, just the point is at the second interval. So let's select both lines, select this point, and then just drag it to the middle one, hit Finish, go back into level 1, go to copy, and copy it here. Now we can select this roof, go into Edit Profile, go to South Elevation, click on Open View, and in this case, again, judging from the image, this one is, well, it's just like a simple roof. So we can just select both lines like this, and then place it there, hit Finish. Back into Level 1, back to Copy, from here to here, hit the Escape key, go into Edit Profile, go to South Elevation. It's kind of repetitive, I know, and this one is a bit different. So as you can see, it kind of looks similar, but here we seem to have a break. So if I switch to the second image, as you can see, the first 3 are straight on the other side, and then this one kind of breaks in the middle. But judging from the angle, it's going kind of in the similar direction. So if I go back here to Revit, I'm going to go, okay. Let's go one step forward. There we go. So I'm going to move this here, but then I'm going to create a break somewhere like this. Hit the Escape key a couple of times, go into Trim and Extend, and fix it up just like this. Hit Finish, go back into Level 1, copy it one more time, from here to here, and for the final one, select it, go into Edit Profile, go to South Elevation, Open View, and then for this one, again, I'm going to try to, if you just go here to the image, as you can see, it's kind of angling at the same point, and then it breaks even earlier, so I'm going to try to do something like this. So as you can see, I want to have that first angle right, and then for the second one, it should go like this. So just to double check with the image, so as you can see, this angle is a bit less steep than this one. So let's go back here and just trim and extend that as well, and then hit finish. There we go. Okay, so we have something that looks like this, and of course, if we go to the 3D view just to see what we have, it looks, well, it looks fairly good. And now, of course, we have to take it a few steps forward. This is far from the building that we're trying to create. So if I open up the image again, as you can see, the sides are just white, and they kind of have a little bit of a peak over the building, and then there's a grass, so it's kind of a small wall on the edge of that roof. Now you can achieve that by creating an additional wall, but that wouldn't be really that efficient because it would take too much time. So my suggestion is to go to roofs again, open up the drop menu, and then use the roof fascia option. So when you click this, you can pick out the top of the roof line, just like this. And then as you can see, it adds this line. Now, if I hit the escape key a couple of times, if your thin lines are turned off, it might look like this, so it's kind of hard to see. So make sure to keep them turned on. Okay, so this is like a roof fascia. So that's just used to cover up the top face of the roof, and in this case it can be really useful, but we have to change it a bit, make it a bit thicker. So here, as you can see, we have the family, but we can go into edit type, and as you can see, the construction is controlled by a profile family. And if I open up the drop menu here, we have some profiles, but they're quite thin and quite small, so we have to create a new one. So let's hit the escape key, go to file, go to new, go to family, and now we have to find a roof fascia profile family. So if I go here to metric profiles, as you can see, we don't really have a roof fascia profile, so let's just go with the generic metric profile. Hit open, and then here what you want to do is just go to lines, and then I'm going to create a simple rectangle. Now the roof is 400 millimeters thick, so I'm going to go down 400 millimeters. And the width of this, let's go with 150. There we go. Or maybe let's just go with 100. I don't know. Not make it too much. And then I want to kind of overshoot it a little bit. Maybe something like that. So just to give it that edge on top. Okay, so once we have this profile, we can just save it. And I'm going to save it on my desktop. Call this one a roof fascia profile, hit save, and then load it into the project and close it off. Okay, we can go back into the 3D view, find this roof fascia, go into edit profile, and then here, if I open up the drop menu for the profiles, we have that roof fascia profile, hit apply, okay, and as you can see, it's perfect, it's quite wide and tall. Now, of course, we can create more of these, so just go select it. You can add remove segments, so now you can add segments to the other side. Let's add some here. Oops, let's go to roof fascia, add some here as well, add some on the other side here. So I'm just going to go all the way around, adding these profiles just like that. And as soon as I'm done, you're going to notice something, that if I try to place it here on the vertical line, it's not going to work. So that's really annoying. It's not going to allow you to place this roof fascia on a vertical line, but don't worry, we have a way of fixing that. And then another thing that happens is these weird things that kind of appear over here. Now this is when it goes kind of to the edge, it kind of goes off like this, which is really annoying, but don't worry. If you just go to this small point and drag it inward just a little bit, it's going to look normal again. So I think it looks good now. Okay, so we have to just fix this part over here with the vertical line, and that can be, of course, done by creating a simple in-place component. So just head over here to components, go open up the drop menu, go to model in place, and then for the category, make sure to set up the category correctly, and that's going to be the roofs category. Click OK. Click OK again. Go to set work plane, go with pick a plane, click OK, zoom in here, select this front face, and then let's go to extrusion, and we're just going to be using pick lines to pick out this edge. this edge, the top edge, and then let's hit the escape key a couple of times, select this line. Now this is only 400 millimeters or 40 centimeters or 0.4 meters, and I want it to be 0.56 to match this height over here. Next we have to use the pick lines again to pick out this line, and also this line. Hit the escape key a couple of times, and then just by using trim and extend to corner, we can fix this up here, 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 and here. Done. So you just hit finish. Make sure to set up the thickness to 0.1, which is the same one as here. And then if I move down, let's go. If I move down here, I can just select it, go to mirror with pick axis, or with draw axis, and make sure that copy is selected. So you just go from the middle of this line, move it horizontally. There we go. So now if I go to the 3D view, it would look like this. Okay, so now actually let's try copying this on the other side here. So that's going to be a bit more difficult. So select it, go into level 1. Next we want to mirror it using pick axis option around the middle one. So that's going to place it here. And then we want to move it. Make sure to unconstrain it. And then oh, it's not going to move because it's set up to that same profile. So I guess that's not going to work, but something else might. So we can stretch it out just like this. So you can place it there, and then this can be set up like that. So here it's 16, and this one should be 16.1. Perfect. And for the other one, let's stretch it over like this. Okay, I think this one is perfect as well. So if we go into the 3D view, as you can see, it's matching properly just because this angle here is same as this angle here. Okay, so once we have that, let's just select both of these and then change the material to something white to match that image. So I'm just going to use my trusty old gypsum wallboard material. Hit finish. Perfect. Now also you can select the fascia, go into edit type, and then you can change the material. And again, let's use the same gypsum wallboard material. So now when I hit apply and OK, if I turn on the realistic mode, as you can see, the whole thing will light up as white. Now also for the roof, I'm going to select it, go into edit type, go here into edit structure, and I'm not going to play around too much with the layers. You can do that on your own, but for the material, for the main one, I'm going to go with the white just to match the edges. And then I'm going to insert another small layer, something like 0.05 meters. And for the material, I'm going to search for grass just to match that green roof. Now here for this grass, I'm going to load it in, double click, click OK, apply, and there we go. We have a glass roof and the bottom is white. So this looks really good. Now, if you want to get rid of this line, if it's annoying, you can always go to Join Geometry on the Modify tab, and then join that fascia with our profile. And it works because, well, we've used the same family category, so that's why it blends together, which is perfect. Okay, and now finally, just to show you how to add the glass wall, you go into level 1, and then you can go to Architecture, Wall, and then for the properties, let's go with Storefront, and I'm just going to use the grid line and just place one wall like this. Just hit the space key to flip it to the other side, click, select the wall itself, go down into south elevation, and then go into edit profile. Now here, I'm just going to get rid of all of these lines, or actually all the top lines. Hit delete, and then just use pick lines to pick out this shape. There we go. Hit the escape key, and then you just use trim and extend to kind of fix everything up. Perfect. Finish. Delete elements, that's okay. And now actually when I go into 3D, it looks good, but this should be kind of offset inside a little bit. If I go back to the image, as you can see here, we have a bit of room. Same thing goes with the other image. Here we have a bit more room. So for the first one and for the last one, what you want to do is go into level 1, select that curtain wall, and just use the arrow key a little bit or the move tool just to insert it in a little bit. So now when we go to the 3D view, it looks a lot better. Okay, so you're probably thinking, okay, that's really nice, but what do you do in these cases over here, where you're gonna have to fit in a small piece of glass? Well, it's fairly simple again. You go back into level 1, you find that middle line, you go to wall, again use the same curtain wall storefront, and then you just place one segment like this. Again, I'm going to flip it using the space key, just like that. Hit the escape key a couple of times, select it, go into south elevation, go into edit profile, get rid of all of the lines now, hit delete, and then just by using pick lines, you want to pick this line, and then this line. Perfect, hit the escape key, trim and extend to corner and fix it up like this. Hit finish and delete elements, and we're perfect. So if we go into the 3D view, it looks like this. So it's fitting in perfectly in this small slot. So basically you would repeat that process for adding glass for the rest of the model, but I think you get the idea of how a model such as this was created and how can you do it in Revit. Okay, so that's pretty much it for this tutorial. Now again, as I said, if you're looking for either beginner, intermediate, or even advanced courses in Revit, check out my website balkanarchitect.com. It's the first link in the description. And then if you want to get this project file or all of my Revit project files, check out my Patreon, which is going to be the second link in the description. Okay, so that's pretty much it for this tutorial. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your time. Make sure to subscribe, like, and share this video, and I'll see you in a couple of days. Thank you for watching, and have a nice day.